So, Pete, you ever wondered how people in the same type of ecosystem, one can produce like millions of dollars and the other one does not? And you always wanted to figure out how to boost your case acceptance without feeling pushy. Well, if you
Yes.
answered yes to that, perfect cue.
Well, it's a great podcast title. And honestly, Craig, when I was sitting there kind of, after you've done, God, we've done over 350 pods, what you don't want to be is redundant.
Right.
But this is such a transformative topic, right? When you and your practice can nail case acceptance of comprehensive dentistry, it's like the lights come on, right?
Oh yeah. Yeah, because you're spending tons of money on your advertising dollars, getting patients to show up. It's so expensive to acquire a patient to come to your office. And when they leave without accepting something, it is completely detrimental to not only your bottom line, but to their health. And if you have numbers like Dental Intel or something like that in your practice, and you see that you have $1 million or $600,000 of outstanding restorative treatment that has not been accepted, what's happening is Mrs. Jones's filling is turning into a crown, or Mrs. Diane's crown is turning to an implant, or the simple thing is turning to something as a larger problem. So it's incumbent upon you as a dental professional to enroll your patients in the treatment that they need, because if they don't understand it and they don't say yes, they're getting worse. Just like the US government spends millions and billions of dollars to try to get people to click their seatbelt and stop smoking because they know the long-term ill effects of those.
Those pork days are gone. Have you not heard?
No, I don't know.
Trump
what happened?
There's a moratorium on any kind of additional spending.
Okay,
so your seatbelt analogy is no longer good.
Okay. Well, it was good just a couple of days ago. But I'm just saying that you have a responsibility, not for your own benefit to enrich your own benefit, but you have a responsibility of helping patients understand what they need to get done and say yes to it.
So let's break it down from, I guess let's break it down into steps, right? Because I think we can talk broad brushstrokes and it can sometimes not help each other. Not help someone listen. So let's break it down into kind of what we would say it would be the steps, the setup. So let me give you this scenario. So in my scenario, and Craig, I said this before we hit record, that I said, you and I had a very narrow range of expertise in clinical dentistry. And you were like, yeah, right. And I was almost solely cosmetic and you were kind of, migrated into almost like just full orthodontics. But I said, one of our superpowers was case acceptance because we were obsessive about it, right? We did not like the word no, or the patient didn't enroll. And we would obsess about the why, which then led to getting better about our craft. It's almost like, no one likes to be quote unquote rejected, but instead of just taking it for face value, I was like, look, there's a reason. By the time the patient is sitting in your chair, they have decided they pretty much want that. It's just, we have to find the way to either create the value, create the benefit to them, right? I always say people are really only asked 3 questions in their mind. What is this? How much does it cost? And how does it benefit me?
Right.
And when you can answer those 3 questions, then you're off to the races. But like you said before we hit record, is it like some people just get like a nah, and they just surrender me like, okay, well, we're here if you need us,
Yeah. They don't ask for the close either. I'm here if you need anything.
Yeah.
Call them if you want
something.
Meet you.
Yeah. Good.
Okay. Take care. And then, by the way, never even circle back with your treatment coordinator and say, hey, did Mrs. Jones close?
Right.
Don't even ask. Move on to the next one. And if you ask most dentists, by the way, Pete, and I don't want to hijack your agenda, what is your case acceptance rate? They're going to tell you it's 95 to 100%. And when you show them that it's 30%, they're going to say, no, that's wrong.
Well,
everybody says yes to me.
If it's 30, so there's also some, before we jump into kind of the steps, there's also some psychology or metrics to that. Meaning if they think it's 100%, they're like you said, they're probably wrong because that's not a data-driven answer. You need something like a Dental Intel, or maybe, your practice management software can tell you. But there are some, if it is tracked accurately, Craig, and they did have a 30% case acceptance, what would you anticipate being the problem?
It's greater than 50%?
No, like a 30%, like you said. What if you're like, hey, well, I did look at it and it's 30% acceptance rate from ideal proposed treatment to accepted. What would you say if someone came back and was like, I'm at 30%? What do you think is going on?
My thought is twofold. Number one, they're giving very large treatment plans.
Overdiagnosing potentially.
Overdiagnosing and no options. Right. Scientifically, people love 3 options. There's an all on 4, there's a locator denture attached to implants, or just a regular denture, or maybe
well, one more thing. They're just not very, I don't know why there are balloons going up in my screen.
I think it's because you're super happy to see me.
So happy. But I would put in a third thing is that they're just poor at enrolling, meaning they didn't pick up on some cues, some body language, they didn't listen to the patient. They talked too much, right? They just weren't good at it. And so, what would you say if someone tracked it and they were like, well, shit, I'm at 95. What would you say is the problem then?
I would say they're underdiagnosing. That's, your tooth that's aching and the pus coming out, that needs to be coming out right now. So they're underdiagnosing. So there's a sweet spot. It's probably around like what?
Anyone
50,
can get a yes
40,
to the occlusal composite, right?
Yeah. Or to the IND when your face is swollen.
So the Goldilocks number is what we always teach at kind of summits is, somewhere in the 66 to 70% range where you would be feeling like you have a good swagger to you, you're presenting treatment well, and you're getting the right balance, the Goldilocks number of yeses and nos, right? And so that's good. So this is an instance where you are okay with a failing grade percentage wise, 66, right?
I agree with that. I agree.
Okay. So let's do the setup. So Craig, in my ecosystem, when I would get either a consult, all of my cases either came from consultations or hygiene, right? Sometimes they would come from hygiene and my hygiene would give you a heads up. So I rarely ever walked in a room blind, meaning that I always got a heads up. And I'm sure you did. Obviously, with a consultation,
I refuse to walk into a room blind.
Right. And
so if I'm about to walk in and I'm walking with my treatment coordinator and said, what's going on in here? I don't know. She just kind of walked in. I would stop. I'd read my notes, see what's going on, find out that the birthday's coming up or something. So
with the beauty of digital charts, right? We take a full series of SLR high def photographs. Like it's a full series with every patient. So I'm able to sit at my desk, have my patient treatment coordinator or hygienist come in and say, hey, this patient's interested in X, Y, or Z, able to pull it up, right? And so immediately, Craig, I'm planning on what I'm saying, right? Planning on what I think the outcome should be. Should it widen the buccal corridor? Is there a crossbite? Do we need to change the vertical? Whatever it is. But Craig.
Yes, sir.
All the while this is going on, what is happening can you describe what the patient room, what the room the patient is sitting in looks like right now?
While they're getting all the,
while I'm talking to the patient treatment coordinator, what is the patient doing at this moment as they're waiting for me?
Oh, they're staring at their photo.
That a boy. God dang it. This is good. Yeah. So we would get, look, TVs are almost cheaper than wallpaper at this point. We would put giant TVs up at the foot of the room, right? So this patient is now looking at a high def, high quality, natural smile, not a retracted smile of their teeth, right? So they're 8 feet away from a 65-inch smile of their own. And a lot of times it's like, whose smile is that? Kind of thing. So they're staring at it.
Or please take that off.
Or please take that off. Which of case I do when I go in. I don't want to look at that anymore. It's distracting me. Totally fine. It's the point has been proven at that point, and they know, they're fully aware. All right. So
I want to ask one more thing.
Sure.
Because we're kind of on the segment 1 of understanding the patient's motivation, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So go in, and then I want to add something. I don't want to steal your thunder.
Well, please. And so in that, right, you're looking at the patient chart. You're looking at what it would take to take their smile from a 5 to a 9 or whatever it is, right? You're looking for the improvement and what you're kind of going to say. You're looking at all, is there a crossbite? You're looking for some functional things, whatever. But you're also asking your treatment coordinator, well, what brought them in today? Right? Like, what was the impetus that brought them in? Because 9 times out of 10, when someone's looking for large treatment, it's either there is a hot button, we called it, right? My daughter's getting married. I just got divorced. I'm about to get married. Divorce or marriage, they seem to be a lot. Things like that, right? So it was like, what is the impetus? Like, what are we making change for?
And by the way,
go ahead. I'll stop now.
WMI for us. What's most important? It was always WMI. We use that word all the time. What WMI? So WMI is, I got a wedding coming up. I've been afraid. When you see someone's last dental visit and you read the chart, it's been 9 years, 7 years. You want to say right away, like, hey, Mrs. Jones, really happy that you're here today. What caused you to take a 9-year break from the dentist? Like, why did you not go? Was it financial? Was it fear? And it's okay. You should know that. It was financial. And then, okay, so what changed? My aunt died and gave me $1 million to fix my teeth. Well, Miss Jones, I don't think it's going to cost that much, or I've always been really afraid. What changed? I heard you all have nitrous or you do sedation. I saw an ad. Great. Because if you don't know WMI, what's most important, you are pulling up a treatment plan out of the air that you want for them. You got to know what motivates them. And I have had a lot of newbie docs that come through my practice and they're like, help me treatment plan this patient. It could be 3 units here, 10-unit bridge. It could be veneers. It could be this. I say, WMI, what's most important? I'm not quite sure. I never asked. I'm like, okay, so we are the architects designing a house that we don't know what's most important. Is it 3 bedrooms? Does it have a pool? Is it 19 bedrooms? Because if you give them what you think they want, they're going to get pissed off. Like, what do you mean? That's a $50,000. You have to be able to tell people like, hey, it's not uncommon for people like you with the condition of teeth that they're in. They could spend as much as a new car.
It's
and then
so
if
good.
they say, holy shit, a new car, like, are we talking like 10 grand? Oh no, Mr. Jones, I was thinking like 20, 30 grand.
Yeah.
Oh no, hell no. That's not me. Okay, no problem. There's still something that we can do to help you get closer to your goals without doing a $30,000
case.
It's
so good. I wish people would listen to this.
I wish this is being recorded. So anyway, I just want to scare you.
Yeah, I literally just looked down to double check.
I know.
I
saw your eyes. I saw it. So anyway, I'm sorry to mess with you, buddy. No, but it's just, so what we're doing is we're making a treatment plan. We're spending a lot of time and it's falling on deaf ears. The best salespeople understand this stuff. And it's not just sales as the dirty 4-letter word of sell or sale.
All right.
It's finding out what's WMI.
Step 1, WMI, understand the patient's motivation. Yes. WMI, find out what it is. Step 2, make sure you have pictures on a big screen from a high quality camera. None of these cameras, none of these intraoral cameras that look pretty good, right? They don't.
I'm gonna draw just a counter to that, Pete.
Okay.
For those of us who are really perfectionistic, I'm speaking to the people that are high detail in our listenership. This thing is a great camera.
Sure.
Just the iPhone.
Sure.
So just get portrait mode, pop a photo, and do it on the iPhone.
It's hard to load that into your,
no, it's not. Because if your monitor has Apple Play,
okay,
you just broadcast.
But then all how does it get integrated in the patient chart?
That's later. Just email it to your treatment coordinator.
Let someone else deal with that.
Like, I've literally sat on a free consult and say, do you mind if I take a picture real quick? I take my camera, I snap it right there, and I upload it on the screen. Boom, right away.
Yep.
And then I can not Photoshop, but what's the Apple product where you Illustrator maybe, or what the hell is it called, where you can kind of do some stuff?
Some sketching. Yeah, you're jumping way ahead.
Okay, sorry.
Way ahead.
Okay, dude. I had too much coffee.
You're getting so excited about this topic. I am too, honestly. As I
Why
started
don't you just do it on your own? I'll bounce out.
No, because I started going, because I think it's like, this is something that you and I both independently were obsessed about in our careers. And then found out we were both, there's a reason. Okay. So step 2 is pictures on a big screen, whether it's like Craig said, airdropping photos, or like I use an SLR because it's already in the patient chart. And let patients sit with that and process what's in front of them, right? Because they can see detail. Sometimes when you're looking at the reflection of your smile, you see things that you may have not noticed.
And by the way, just to make your point where you said, if they don't like it, get it off, take it off. But like, oh, that really bothers. Are those my teeth? Yes, they are. Oh God, I hate that. Take it off right away. You say, I'm sorry to hear you say that.
Yep.
Would you feel comfortable telling me specifically what you hate?
So good.
And this is a strange question because I've had other dentists that say, don't ask people that. It's okay. They may say, I've had people in my 25 years of being a dentist say things like, I hate the gray lines around my crowns, but I've been going to Dr. Oldtimer for the last 45 years, and he said crowns must have metal. So I know there's nothing you can do about it, so I just don't smile. That's all it is. Well, did you know that we don't actually use metal in our practice anymore? Right. What do you mean? Dr. Oldtimer, he graduated the class of 1927. He told me very clearly that metal has to be in crowns. No, there's things like this. So patients don't even know what's possible. They have no idea.
So more visual tools. I like where you're headed with that, Craig. I used to actually, so I've done a number of things. Like you said, there's 3 ways you want to kind of look like the architect when you're doing the consultation, if possible. The easiest way, and people are going to laugh at this, but patients liked it, is take that big TV in front of you, grab a couple dry erase markers, and just show what you're doing. You want to augment here, we're pointing here, right? You could also I used to do it with pictures, meaning I'd have my treatment coordinator print out a large picture, a lot of ink, but it was high quality picture. And then I would sketch on there. At the end, I would sketch and, we're going to lengthen 8 and 9. We're going to do this. We're going to widen. We're going to do this. And then I would just sign it at the end, right? Like not thinking I was a Monet or something, but it went in the patient chart it went in the patient folder that went home. And like you could actually do kind of the iPhone, iPad thing where you're just taking that cool iPencil and sketching right there, right?
Yeah. And by the way, and not to get too techy, too far off, but when you're doing that SketchUp on your iPhone, I'm sorry, I don't know the name. So drop in the comments what it is. It's probably very well known for all the younger people, but you can take a tooth and you drop the color of the tooth. So you can pick up the color of the tooth and you can lengthen both gingivally, apically rather, and incisively. So you can actually do something really cool and you're doing it together.
Well, there's imaging software too that does this for you now, right? Meaning like not does it for you, but it's designed for just what you're saying. You can stretch the tooth, you can widen very easily.
Or a mock-up.
Well, hold on.
Okay.
Hold on. Because I feel like that's the holy grail of stuff. Okay. So now we're sitting in the consultation, right? So we've done step 1, which is understand where they're coming from, what their needs are. Step 2, we've got some tools that we've used to now set the stage. And now number 3 is it's showtime. Okay. And so this is where kind of like mastering communication, and you highlighted a lot of them already, Craig, like listening and asking and stopping. Let me do this. Let me interject with what I have seen other doctors do, even in my own ecosystem, that did not work. Okay. I knew a doctor that I worked with, Mrs. 20 years ago, and she would go in and instantly want to be friends with them and would give them 7 options. Almost like, oh, okay, well, maybe we could do this. Maybe we could do this. Right. And so all of a sudden, if you confuse, you lose. And so patients left in I don't know what.
I need a second opinion to tell me what I need to do.
I came here for the authority, and all I got was a more confused. So my logic was, this is what Ms. Jones, if you would allow me to do, am I able to tell you, and what's the line that Deborah Nashwood said? Can I have permission to show you what I think would be amazing?
Yeah,
right?
Of course. Yeah.
Can I tell you what I think would be amazing?
Do I have permission to tell you everything I see?
Everything I see. That's right.
Do I have permission to give you all your options? Do I have permission to show you how you could unlock a smile? Whatever you want to say.
Yeah. And then give what you think would be perfect. If your mother was sitting there, your sister, your wife, whatever, your dad, what is the best option? Because people will find a way to titrate that up or down if need be. But like, this is what I feel is going to be ideal, right? And start there. People came to you for being told what to do, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. I think, do you agree with this?
1,000%, of course.
Okay.
Of course. Yeah.
And by the way, problem I see, Craig,
that's just a general hack, by the way, Pete. I just want to add this. I know it seems a little scripty, and maybe there's some people that just heard what you said and said, oh, that's so fake. That's such a stupid softener. But the fact that you ask somebody for permission, like if you tell someone, I'm going to give you some feedback, it lands on people all wrong. Hey, would you allow me to just give you a little feedback? Yes, same feedback, but the same, would you allow me?
Yeah.
Would you allow me to tell you what I see?
It just sets the stage, because then people get excited. Like it's almost like you're about to unveil a present. Like, here, would you allow me to unbox this in front of you, kind of thing? Like, yes. Okay, so that's one thing that doesn't work. Another thing I see that didn't work is dentists get nervous in case presentation or just describing things. And when we get nervous, and I think you and I probably were victim to this, we ended up either talking too much or talking too technical for fear of, I'm not feeling smart. Let me throw in a gross debridement and, a contra angle and some big fancy words that the patient won't understand. And then they'll be back in my graces, kind of thing. And I see us reverting. I see us as a profession reverting to that, right? So there's a fine balance, and this takes practice, of being confident, technical, but also able to be understood.
100%.
Okay. All right. So Craig, tell me what else. I talked about things that don't work. What would you say? What would you say when you've observed yourself And I do mean observe yourself, because you and I have had conversations about this. You and I both used to film ourselves in consultations.
Yeah, I have done that.
Because it was super cringy, right? But it was a great learning lesson. Like, don't do that again. Don't say that again. Why did I say this? And you study it just like I used to, recorded my cases with AACD and had to critique them, right? Under magnification kind of thing. What you study and focus on improves kind of thing. It's a Pearson's law. So share with me what has worked, Craig, in this. So we already talked about some, right? The WMI, what's most important.
Right. So the next thing I would say when it comes to communication is, someone once told me this, and I hope it still resonates, or maybe I just understood it differently. It's like someone is selling somebody, right? Either you're selling them or they're selling you. And what I mean by that, the other day I had one of my doctors who's amazing, Dr. Mike. He said a patient came in and it was like an Invisalign consultation, and they said there's no way they could wear it 21 hours a day. So they wanted to wear it only at night, no attachments, right? So I said, what'd you say? He said, that's impossible. So they left. I was like, okay, so there's a way here that there's another way to get another layer deeper. So that patient sold Mike. And Mike's a really good dentist. He's a really good treatment presenter. But I said, what about this? What about saying, why do you think you cannot wear it 21 hours a day? And let's just say for hypothetical circumstances, she would have said, well, I just don't think I could get used to it. I just know myself. I can't imagine it in my mouth. So I said, why don't you make her a single set of retainers, just upper and lower, just the same thing like an Invisalign retainer, but not an active moving thing, for $400. And worst case scenario, it's a whitening tray and an anti-clenching device, and it holds her teeth in the position that they are now. Have her wear it 21 hours a day for 3 weeks. If she can tolerate and she realizes it's not as bad as she thinks, which is a high likelihood, you will credit the $400 towards her Invisalign case. But worst case scenario, now she has a whitening tray, and give her some free whitening. Calls her up. I think she closed. But what happened there? She sold him, this is not a possibility, and he bought it. So he then turned it around. Why? Why can't we do this? Well, this is the fear. And you just went another layer deeper. And some people may say, well, that's pushy. She said no. But Invisalign, in this case, and I saw the case, it would prolong the lifespan of her teeth, because she had a deep bite, she's young, and she's wearing the shit out of her teeth. So she's heading for an FMR by the time she's old like me. Mm-hmm. So we actually did a service for her. We enrolled her in treatment that's going to prevent long-term disease and increase the lifespan of her teeth.
Yeah. You're bringing up something good, Craig. The caveat to this is not how to trick people into dentistry they do not need, right? But it's removing the barrier so people get what they want based on your clinical expertise of what you think they need, right, to get there.
Yep.
So there's no sailing. This isn't a psychological hack or a trick or manipulation. I'm glad you brought that up, because it's not that. Okay. So speaking of that, I early in my career got more no's than I probably was willing to take. And it's because I would go right in there and just raw dog, right? Just go straight to it and not talk about anything, not all the aforementioned things. I'd just be like, okay, I'm a newbie. I'm going to go in there and impress. And some things I did not pick up on, Craig, is that humans, 80% of what we say is nonverbal. Okay. So what you're doing right now, right? Men do that when they're a little uncomfortable. Maybe you were uncomfortable with what I just said. Men do this. They grab I don't
I was just cueing. I was just
okay. All right. Women grab kind of their blouse a little bit, but there's cues.
Can you show me what that would look like?
What?
Can you show me what that would look like? A woman grabbing a blouse. Oh, like that.
Right here. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, really? I've never had women do that with me.
The obviously the body language of legs crossed and things. There's so much to it, and there's good books on this. Yeah, right. I don't believe you. I don't trust you. Things like that. And so that is a big thing. And you can almost also tell when someone's nodding their head, like that they have no idea. Don't sometimes take the nod as let's move on, or it's sometimes like, oh, I'm trying to understand. I want to understand. I want to get this right. But body language is big, right? So look, and it could
also be too, one of the defining questions I think is very successful as well is, are you a big picture person or a detail person? Because if you start going into details with me, I am going to be bouncing my leg and freaking out. I don't want to get the hell out of it. Give me the big picture.
Well, that's a great point. I want to ask you something. Did you ever play poker?
No.
I used to play like every night in my 20s. And so much so that I was trying to go to like the YSOP, like the World Series kind of thing, but it was a big entry and I didn't have the money. Anyway, stop playing that. But where I'm going with this, Craig, is that people have tells. And in poker, you look for indications of when people are bluffing or they have a big hand, right? And so that is the same kind of thing. Like that's mastering nonverbal communication. So that can translate into dentistry. Now, going back to what you said, so important. The communication style, this is where you go from being a regular baby dentist to a dental ninja, is when you can start adjusting the tone, vernacular, delivery based on who the recipient is. Meaning, Craig, you would talk to my mom way different than you would talk to me, right? You would hit me with bullet points and more analytical and more like an engineer, right? And my mom, you would speak to the benefit, right? And this would be a victorious celebration. I'm so glad you're here and I can't wait for this is done, right? So when you can start interpreting the delivery, that it's not a script. It is curated per individual.
Right.
and that unfortunately takes some reps. But if you have a great treatment coordinator, my treatment coordinator would go in and be like, this is an engineer, right? Hit him with facts, hit him with science, hit him with this, or this is a lover, feeler, just wants to hug you.
By the way, you'll do really well when you meet your type. So one of my doctors is like an engineer. So with engineers, he nails every single conversation because he loves dentistry. He loves talking about the prep and the chamfer and the blah, blah, blah. You do that with most people. They're just like, I'm out. I'm confused. I have to go buy a chamfer. What is that all about? I have to buy the crown, plus I have to buy the chamfer, plus I have to buy zirconia now. Where do I even get zirconia?
I'm involved in this process. I'm
involved in, oh my God. Now I have to buy a scanner. You're telling me, they don't understand. I'm going to scan you and it's going to be no goopy impression. They're like, so wait, how much is a scanner? It's 35,000. Oh my God. No, that was what we paid for it. They're so lost. They're so lost.
All right. So look, consultations, I think there's an inverse relationship to consultations and enrollment. I think there's an inverse relationship to a point of time spent versus enrolled. Meaning you would think that it would be correlation in a linear exchange of like, the more time I spent was the more likelihood they enrolled. And that is not the case.
No.
Right. There's almost, again, a Goldilocks number. And I don't know what it is. Obviously it's different for, big comprehensive.
It's from the moment they agree to do the case.
Yes.
And how much longer you continue to talk.
That's right.
It's directly proportional.
Did you just shut up?
If they say yes, or let's get started, every minute you speak after that about telling it again is unwinding 20 minutes
100%. So what are some things that people would say, Craig, that you would be like, I'm going to shut STFU?
Usually the treatment coordinator stepping on my toes to the point that it like hurts.
There you go.
And I realized, okay, I got to get out. Or she'll walk behind the patient to just like STFU basically.
So I would always take when I got all the way through the benefit, right? And then, so again, 3 things people are looking for. What is this? How's it going to benefit me? And then the last one, they're wondering, when they got to the last question is, well, how much is this going to cost?
Yeah.
That to me was a yes, meaning that to me is a buying question. I'm ready to do this, provided it checks the last box. And I didn't skirt away from it. It wasn't like, oh, I don't do that part, out of here, which some doctors do. They get freaked out about money.
I hate that.
I say, look, each veneer is going to be about $2,000, right? Plus or minus, I don't know. It depends. But don't worry. We do this all day, every day, and we make it work for people regardless of where they fit. And that's why Debbie is sitting here. She's going to be your financial advocate to making sure this fits for your lifestyle. Right. Exactly. I want you to have this smile.
And by the way, the belief system that the doctor and the treatment coordinator have about money affects the sale. So when
meaning if you think it's expensive, do
this experiment. Ask your treatment coordinators, what does it mean to you when a patient asks you how much something costs? What does that bring up for you? Some treatment coordinators will say they're about to tell you they can't afford it. Mm-hmm. And for Peter and I, that actually means I want to afford it. I'm interested. That's a buying question. but your predisposition about money, how you feel, because money's very emotional for people.
100%.
You talk to a bunch of women about money and, how do you feel? Something like, oh my, I feel sick. I feel nauseous. I feel scared. I feel optimistic. Money means something. So if your treatment coordinator has that emotional thing around money, they're not going to be able to close. Like the girl that came in about my, I had to get a cast for my son, on his hand. I wanted a washable cast. And she's like, oh, your insurance doesn't pay for that. And him and Han, she finally comes in the room. She's like, it's $63. But she was so upset. Like, you think she was telling me like I have a terminal disease. I'm like, $63 so that my son can take showers for 4 weeks. I'd pay $63 for 1 or 2 showers. Never mind 30 showers or 40 showers. Like, so how do you feel about money? You have to feel neutral about it. You have to feel good about your dentistry. If you don't feel good about your dentistry, they will not feel good about it.
Yeah. And when people, and that's the thing, like I tried to get cutesy with some things just to kind of tell like people, like what, it's going to be $30,000 or whatever it was being. I'm like, look, if you break that down, like just trying to get cute, think about how much does the perfect smile cost every time you smile, right? It's like 10 cents a smile and you're gonna have a perfect smile. Like, meaning that you're trying to impart this value. You're going to have this for 15 years and the changes are going to, manifest beyond this. And
well, that's the big deal, Peter, the amortization of the benefit.
Yes, there you go.
So, let's say it's 30 grand. You're going to spend over 15 years more than 30 grand on your cell phone. If you do the math, $150 a month times, whatever, 15 years, or your hair. The problem with dentistry is that you have to pay for it in one lump sum. That's why I love third-party financing, because whenever I tell a patient, Invisalign costs $5,500 or $5,000, they leave skid marks. When I tell a patient it's $187 a month,
right,
$0 down for 24 months, they're always like, holy hell, or whatever the number is, $210 a month for 24 months. It's like, that's so cheap because people live in a monthly economy.
There's a true story that I would also tell people, Craig. I'd say, look, I've done this, my entire career. And let me share something with Miss Jones. Every time, almost without fail, we finish someone's case that was in your exact position. You know what they say to me when they're all done?
I should have done this sooner.
I should have done this sooner. I wish I had done this sooner. So, take that for what it's worth. I know you're sitting on this side of the court and I can see your finished product on the end, on the other side of the court, and it looks beautiful. I see you smiling. I see the end result because I've done this so much and I want to see you get there. And Debbie's going to make it happen for you. So can't wait to see you. Let's get this done. And then
Debbie's going to help you fit the treatment you need into your budget.
And then walk out the door, right? This is going to be life-changing. I'll see you soon as you leave, right? Something like that. Okay, Craig, let's say that anything further on that, as we've kind of, now we've gone from outside the operatory, inside the operatory, and now we've left. Any wrap up things? I want to say one other thing that I would implement for people that were hemming and hawing.
I think, unfortunately, like most things in life, you can't fake it. So make sure that you're proud of your dentistry, and then focus on the benefit to the patient. Desperate salespeople smell bad. So remember, the $30,000 is not your benefit. It's their benefit. So at the end of the day, yes, you're paid for your dentistry, but remember, if it's good dentistry, you're doing it for them. They win, not you. You didn't win. They win. And remember that.
It's so good that you're saying that, meaning that if you're presenting a treatment plan, you're like in your head, you're thinking, man, this is only worth 10. I think it's worth 10. Then do it for 10 until you get the swagger to say that it's what it should be, right? Do it to where you feel it's good value. But does that make any sense? Right? Like,
yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, don't be inauthentic. 'Cause I think you're right. People will smell that and be like, what? Yeah. This doesn't feel like, but the confidence comes from you believing the end product, seeing the life benefit to that person. Okay. Yeah. So Greg, I would have one more thing that I would implement, right? Because sometimes not everyone can see the end result. You can sit there, you can talk about it, you can draw on the screen, blah, blah, blah. But until you put it into the canvas of the head, they can't tell. Okay.
Of course.
So this is where I would take my expired flowable and I'd say, Miss Jones, do you have 5 more minutes? Let me kind of just quickly show you what I want to do. And she's like, yeah. Debbie would hand me a retractor, turn on the light, right? And lean them back. I'd lengthen 8 and 9. I'd augment 4, 5, 12 and 13, raising that buccal corridor. I'd reshape the canines, right? Just putting in some flowable real quickly. Boom, 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 boom. Getting out of carbide, reshaping it quickly. Done. I didn't want to make it perfect, but I wanted to make enough changes where I'm like, look, you saw where I did that in 3-4 minutes. When I do this the real way, it's going to be hours. I'm going to spend copious amounts of time, hours, right? But I'm wanting to show you. And then you sit them up. Make sure you sit them up. Do not hand them the mirror while they're lying down. Sit them up. Take the retractors out. Let them get their lips back to normal. Hand them a mirror. A big mirror, actually, not one of those little guys. Not one like, you ever seen those things? Yeah. Hand them something.
I've got a different way, but I'm happy that we have.
All right. Ways. Well, okay. I'm just showing you what I did. Why there's hearts going off my screen.
Yeah. It works for me.
It doesn't work for you, dude. I've got the magic in me.
I heard you have a good singing voice, Peter. I don't want to get tangential. I do. When we're at the Bulletproof retreat this weekend.
I'm a one-trick pony, though. I can't do it all. I can't do it all.
So you hand them the mirror. Let's not get tangential.
Oh, sorry.
And then what?
Forgot we're recording. Hand them a big mirror so they can see their whole forehead, face, their face, right? And they're not numb. And I say, here you go. Here's what I was recommending we do to this. Oh my gosh. It was always, oh wow. Can I wear this home? Yeah, sure. It's not going to last. It's going to be broken by the time you get to the car, but sure, take it. Right? Like you can wear it out. I don't care. I didn't bond it on. And so why did I love that option so much? It's because I had a phrase that people can't unsee things sometimes.
Yep.
Right. When they get to look at that for the 5 minutes and then you snap it off, it's a wah, 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 wah. Right. They can't unsee. And they're like, they will do whatever needs to be done to get back to that, what I just saw kind of thing. Because they immediately now say, I see the benefit to what you were talking about. Now I see
the same reason why you go to the jewelry store and you point at the Rolex and they put that little black felt on and they want you to try it on. You put the Rolex on. You don't look at it. They're like, go ahead and try it on. Here, they actually will take your watch off for you. They'll take your Casio off and help you put that on. And they'll hold it so it's the right size for you because they know you've touched it. You've felt it. It's part of you. You're imagining going in front of your friend, Peter Boulden, and be like, hey, look at that Rolex, buddy. For those that know, but whatever. So I have a different approach. Let me just tell you mine. So not all of us are as gifted with the flowable composite, and and it's hard sometimes to do these types of cases. So here's my deal. I say these types of investments are, could be as expensive as a new car. It's a new smile. And I want you to feel comfortable because you've all seen something about Mary and you get these teeth and like the day you get them, you're like, holy shit, what did I just do? I don't want you to be unhappy. So for a small amount of money and something that we need to do anyways, I would recommend we take a first step that's reversible. It's going to cost you $800 and we're going to have my lab do the models of your teeth and make
diagnostic wax up.
Diagnostic wax up. We're using industry speak. A diagnostic wax up. I'm going to try it in your mouth. The good news is if you don't like it, you're like, hell no, this is not me. You're out only, $800.
Yep.
But if you are like, hell yeah, I like it. I just think these need to be a little shorter. We needed to do this step anyway. So long and short, it's not going to cost you more. What does it do? It's shoe in the door. It's the first thing. It's a Cialdini principle, right? You got someone to say yes to something. They transacted. They put money in your bank account. They've already, even though they spent 800 to 30, 40, 50,000, they started the process. They had you work on them for an hour, even though you're only putting Siltac and composite and bullshit. Now you're the dentist. They've actually had work.
Now you're the artist, actually.
You're the artist, right? And the only thing I do different is I seat them up and with an iPhone and pick stitch, I do the before and after. And before they get a mirror, because you know what happens when anybody gets a mirror, Peter, they put it 1 inch from their nose.
Right.
Okay. So anybody that looks at themselves 1 inch from their nose is focused on the teeth. We're focused on the face. So we put your side-by-side picture up on the monitor and they're like, holy shit, it's still in their mouth. They see that, then they get the mirror. So I've monetized the procedure. So it's monetized. So it's not net. It's not really, because what is
right? It's not a bit. It's like a Botox procedure. You didn't make much.
Well, no, but I don't know. I would recommend that you do whatever the cost is plus 20%. So if it's $20 a unit, you do 10 units, 200. I charge 300 or whatever the hell it is. Just make it a little bit more and tell them it's not more money. I will credit this going forward for up to 6 months from now. And then they go home with pictures because the buying person probably was not with them. So that's the only difference.
So I did do the mock-up, but we actually use that so much. I'm going to talk on this for a second because it was a pretty funny talking about the cost. So I say, Debbie, let's just go ahead and do, if I didn't think I could mock it up, right, I was like, let's just go ahead and do a wax up transfer. And I would explain to you just like that, hey, why don't I show you what we're going to do, right? The cost is minimal. I'm going to send this to my lab. So I had a great relationship with my ceramist, and I call him up. I'm not going to disclose who it was, but it was a very high-end lab and very boutique at the time. I don't even know if he's still doing stuff.
Yeah, Glidewell's still around, buddy. Sorry.
Yeah. So I would call him up and I'd say,
that was bad.
I'd say, Sam. So when I send you a case, do you have to wax up the case? Yeah, of course I do. So regardless if I pay for a diagnostic wax up or not, you have to kind of wax this up, right? He's like, yeah. I was like, well, can you just trust that I'll enroll the case, and can you send me the wax up for free? If the patient doesn't enroll, then you can go ahead and send me the wax. Then you go ahead and charge me for the wax up. Yeah, I guess we can do that, right? Because he was going to have to do it anyway. So Craig, to your point about the cost, I did charge a nominal fee for the diagnostic wax up, which typically costs $0. And so you have to have a good relationship with your ceramist, but they're going to have to wax it up
ancillary
anyway.
To the point, like just charge them, cover it. Who cares? But I agree with you. It's just, but it's a much nicer procedure.
But the wax up transfer, I guess let's hit the wax up transfer, which we're both talking about, is an ace in the hole. If you can get to that point, I would say that almost the yeses were 9 to 90% is what I'm trying to say. By the time you transfer on, and then people are like, can I wear this out? And you're like, sure, it'll probably break by tonight, but like, okay. Or sometimes I'd say, nope, I'm sorry, I can't do that kind of thing. Because, you don't want a big hunk of stuff going down their throat or whatever.
I would actually take the counterpoint to that, Pete. I'd rather you break it off or take it off before they leave. Because there is the 1 in 100 that like, oh my God, it's lasting till night. And they're grinding at night. They asphyxiate the fucking piece of left tab, and then you're sued. And like,
asphyxiated. Yeah, I lose everything. Awesome. No good deed goes unpunished, right? Yeah. Anyway, Craig, that's a wrap. I think we had some great pearls in here. I think the one thing I would have double clicked on is if you're a new dentist listening to this, just get in the habit of recording yourself, whether it's audio or video or whatever. Record yourself in the consultation. And then secondarily, ask, more than likely, the person sitting next to you, either your treatment coordinator or your assistant, has a lot more experience with patients than you do, potentially. Ask them when it's over, hey, how did I do? Was there something you would have changed, right? Did I offend this? Did I do that? What was the best part about it? Ask for feedback.
And say, please give me honest
feedback. Please give me feedback.
Because, I know you always say, Doc, you're wonderful. Doc, you're wonderful. Well, Doc, I was wonderful. Wouldn't I have a 40% close rate instead of a 9%? So what is going on?
Yeah.
Well, honestly, Doc, I mean, I kind of feel bad, but, you said cut the bone 3 times, and you said, cut the gums, and like the lady like squirmed, And when you said we're going to cut the gums back and cut your bone back, she like got fidgeted. Maybe you don't say that.
And you didn't pick up on that, and you kept rolling in on that. Yeah.
And if you're like, well, Sally, that's what we have to do. We have to cut the bone.
We have to flap your gums over your nose.
Yeah. Pull your gum. It's very simple. It's just take your gums, pull it over your head, stitch it to the occipital cortex, and I'll grind your bones down.
Gums. Oh my God.
We'll just grind them down.
All right. But that was good. I feel like this should be, how we do.
I'm sending this to my doctors because I have an awesome team, and I love my doctors at SDG. Shout out to all you guys. But this is going to be the first podcast I've ever done that is just, please listen to this. And when you heard this, mention code Penguin to make sure that you got through the whole thing. So I know you actually listened to it.
Did you say pangolin?
Penguin.
Oh, penguin. I thought it was a COVID joke. A pangolin.
No, actually, yeah. Either say penguin or pangolin to let me know you made it to the end of this. So I'm sending this out to every doctor, penguin or pangolin. And that means I know you actually did it. But Pete, I got a bolt. I love you, buddy.
Wait,
I'll see you this weekend.
You can't, don't leave yet. So you know how I want to ask you this, like, you know how Sharissa and I do the trust transfer live at the summit?
Yes, I love it.
This would be a good, this would be, can you maybe do
I'll do a TOT.
A live consultation? Maybe that would be cool.
Yeah, I would love to do it.
That'd be neat.
And you know what? Let's get a disgruntled, angry patient. Yeah, we'll do it. Like, bring me the most hard, like all the things you've heard before. We'll do verbal jousting. Like,
that's great.
Of course, I'm sending your kid to college.
All right.
No, it's a $1,500 crown.
Glad I'm making your boat payment.
Yeah, exactly.
Wait, this little treatment plan won't pay for my boat.
Yeah, have you seen my boat? Terrible.
All right, buddy. All right, don't forget, everyone. Bulletproof Summit rooms are.
Wait, what? Sorry, go ahead. Rooms, go with your pitch.
Rooms are going. Whatever. What?
No. Bulletproof Summit, August 8th and 9th. We're 8 months out. We've sold more tickets this time than we did the entire time last year.
Well, we've got our act together. We've gotten our act together so much that I actually signed, and I don't even know if you know this, I signed the contract for 2026.
Yeah, I don't think it's we. I think we have good people, but I'll take the credit too, because I like that. But also too, one last thing. A lot of people don't know about this podcast, Pete. A lot of people don't. So if you think there was some value here, drop a like, drop a comment, but share this with your friends. I have a guy right in my backyard, my buddy Joel. He's right here in Delray Beach, and he is listening to this content, and he's quote unquote competition. I just want to see dentistry do better. I want to see all of us serve our patients better. So like, share, rate, review, and pop this podcast out to 2 of your besties. Just 2 people. Share it. Share the love.
Share the love.
Pangolin, I'm out.
Love it. That's the agreement. You get this great podcast, you got to send it out. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. And good one, Craig. See you, buddy.
Thanks for doing this one, Pete. Thanks for putting it all together.